Hello guys, this is your friend from ninjavibeZ and we are back with a new fanfic, which is what if Naruto rose as the Kaibunkage in Danzō's Konoha and chose Sakura as his only light part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. While it was not the largest village in the nations, in fact, it could be considered as one of the smallest, Hoshide no Sato has survived for more than 200 years. Of course, due to its old training regime and power-hungry civilians, this did not come without sacrifice. But the village was sure to continue to strive so that maybe one day their cage would be recognized as an equal with the other cages. Today, the official Yandai Hoshik stood in front of the village with his 2 reformed bodyguards, Shiso and Yotaka. His wife, Hokurudo, stood beside him with a small smile. "He is taking longer than I expected," stated the 4th star shadow. "That baka is never on time for a meeting. I bet he stopped for ramen." Hokuto smiled. "Sumu-kun, be patient. It's less than greater than quite the journey from Ki to Hoshi." "Sure it is," Sumaru said before a red-haired woman appeared beside him. "Akane, what's the situation? One of my messenger hawks has returned." The green-eyed redhead replied. "The Kaibunkage is less than a mile away." "Good," said the Hosokage. "Find Mura and tell him to prepare my personal training area. I'm going to bash one baka into the ground and I don't want anyone around when I do so." "Hi," Akane said, before leaping away. As his assistant left him, Sumaru less than greater than's eyes turned to the traveling clouds ahead. He wondered why Naruto had asked for this meeting to happen in Hoshidakure instead of Chemir, but he did not push the matter verbally. Whatever the blonde had done, it would come out soon. After the death of his former friend and biggest rival, he was made Gotham Hokage. Yes, Shimura Danzō had persuaded the Fire Daimyo when choosing between himself and Sununade. Now the 5th Fire Shadow sat in his desk reading over a report about a missing nin of Konoha Haruno Sakura. She was seen in Wave Country. "Yusei," stated Danzō. "Come bring me Anuka Kiba Arame Torum and Hyuga Tokuma." "Hi," Sai said before he left to do what he was ordered to. Seconds after the young man left, Hideki Kakashi walked into the room with Sununade. "I'm guessing you have heard about Sakura's sightings," Danzō said. "Forgive me for asking, Lord Hokage, but what do you plan on doing to her once she is brought in?" questioned the former John and Sinase of Team 7. "She has attacked several Leaf Shinobi, has disbanded from her home village, denied my orders, and has attempted to assassinate the leader of another village. I think you know what my plans are, Haki," Danzō answered, growled. "That leader was Orochimaru. Even if she did stand a chance and defeated him, she would have been doing the world a favor." "True, but in the midst of attacking him, she also attempting an attack on Makajuki Kagano, the current Mizukage, who was there with Orochimaru." Danzō continued, "She is to be killed. Before we have another nuke that gives Konoha a bad complexion. Before you kill her, let me talk to her. She is no longer your students, Sununade, and she is no longer a ninja of my village," hissed the Hokage. "If you are here to plead for her life, then I suggest you leave now." "It is futile. Why you lady?" Kakashi began. "Danzō is right. Sakura chose to become this and she used your and my training to become strong enough to do so. We can only pray that she turns herself in before it's less than greater than." "Too late. It already is," Sununade replied before marching out, slamming the door as she did so. The Unspeakable 3. That is what they called them now, the Unspeakable 3. And if she was anything like her former self, she would have marched up to whoever started that name and gave them a severe blow to the head. Instead, she just smirked. It did make sense. Uchiha Sasaki abandoned the village in search for power. Utsuaki Naruto soon left afterwards because he hated being treated like a caged animal. And she left in search of her teammates. All three of them had a common ulterior motive as well. They each had a reason to hate the current Hokage Danzō. "See, can I get us some mort?" a waiter asked as he stood shaking. Emerald eyes glanced at him. "No, that is all. Thank you." "Hi," the man said before scurrying away. 22 years old Haruno Sakura grabbed the small cup of tea and sipped some. She remembered Sasake's last words and how they stung. He had called her annoying. And in retrospect, when she had caught Nar leaving as well, he had said the exact opposite. Instead of calling her annoying, he admitted his feelings even though they were pretty much obvious. And instead of telling her, "Thank you," like Sasuke did. Naruto's last words were, "I'm sorry, Sakura-chan." And that was it. Then there was Ino, who tried to stop Sakura from leaving. The match was nothing like their previous one at the Chunin exam. No, Sakura had won that one in a landslide victory. Then again, training with Tsunade, Kakashi, and Karini would do that to a person. "Message for Miss Haruno Sakura," a man said from the entrance to the restaurant. The atmosphere seemed to grow dark and cold as no one moved a muscle. The pink-haired woman glanced at him. "Could this be it?" "I'm right here," Sakura said. The messenger came and laid a scroll in front of Sakura. She smiled before using a finger to motion him closer to her before kissing his cheek. "Thanks." The man blushed severely before making his way to the door. However, before making it there, he collapsed. Sakura giggled a bit. Killing a civilian was wrong, but seeing other people suffer like she did made her feel better. Her attention then turned to the scroll and she opened it. Green eyes scanned the message quickly before a small black diamond was seen on her forehead, purple tribal marks slowly taking over her face. "Found you," Sakura said angrily before punching the table, decimating it in seconds. The man of 22 years smiled as he eyed his friend. "Well, it's about time," Sumeru stated. "What took you so long?" "A black cat crossed my path, so I had to find a different route." "You know, just in case," Naruto said. With Naruto were his former student, Kurosuke Renera, and the former sound Nin Guren. Sumeru looked at Renera, knowing that the teen would tell him the truth. Lady May wouldn't allow Naruto-sensei to drop all of his paperwork on her while she watched over the village in his absence. Renera said, "It was a bit boring, but here we are. You're so going on farming duty when we returned." Nar muttered before looking at Sumeru. "So, are you ready for me to tell you what's so important?" "I thought that we were going to go to the nonsense," stated the blonde Kaibunkage. "Let's less than greater than tour the village and talk." Sumeru eyed Renera and Guren, both giving him a nonchalant shrug before following Naruto and Hokurudo. So Naruto Hokudo began. "How are you? Have you found a new girlfriend yet? How's the village?" Nar laughed a bit. "I'm fine. No, I haven't. And the village is okay so long as no one pisses Mei-chan off. R disturbs the Kaibunkage's ramen breaks." Reamer muttered, gaining a smirk from Guren. "Not that I worry that you'll take my wife away from me," stated Sumeru. "But I'm still curious as to why you came all this way. What is so important that you came here instead of meeting in Wave or Chem like normal?" "2 reasons. 1. Akatsuki is on the move. Gar is their first target," Naruto stated. Sumeru frowned. "How do you know this?" "Gar has sent a message to the other 5 great nations asking them for help. Deidara and Sazori had attempted to break into the village once and were stopped, but he doesn't think that they will be stopped again. He feels as if Sazori has a spy within the village," explained Nar. "A team of my shinobi that were patrolling the sea between Kaiban no Kuni and Mizununi picked up a message from the Mizukage to the Cease Cage, rejecting the offer to help. And the second reason, Hokuro questioned, my former teammates, Naruto answered. Uchiha Sasaki was last seen in Ishokuni, possibly talking to the leader of Ishidakure for Orochimaru. He was seen with his team, Habi, as I hear they are called. Nar then glanced at the sky. As for Haruno Sakura, she was seen on her way to Nami. And how do you know that? Summer asked. Blue met brown as Naruto glanced at the Hoshikage. I've contacted her. That statement made Shiso and Yotaka glance at one another. Sakura had escaped their former bosses. Grasped once, using her feminine charms to seduce Akahoshi, poison him, and escape. While the poison did not kill Akahoshi, it did give Hotarubi and Sumeru a better chance in defeating him. Therefore, there was nothing the two would love more for the little underscore, to suffer at their hands. As for Sumeru, he only stared at Nar. He was angry. No, he was beyond angry. Why would Nar contact a B-ranked criminal? We should have talked in my office, Sumeru said. It was obvious to the others that Sumeru was doing all that he could to remain composed. What did you ask her, Lord Kaibunkage? I gave her a message telling her to meet me on the edge of Kaibun-Noi in 2 days. She and I have unfinished business. Gurren and Renera glanced at one another. While dense at some times of the day, the wrath of the Shaddam Kaibunkage was truly a frightful thing to see. And that's what brings me here in Hoshi. I personally wanted you to do me 2 favors. 2. Nar repeated favor 1 a team to Sunyuna giving the case cage coordinates to Kemri. Why don't you do that yourself? Asked. I have other things to worry about besides seeing a star shinobi. Going to Suna isn't something I expect the other villages to get riled up about. A smoke nin however would known for our secrecy and independence. While hating the blonde Sumeru had to agree. The ninja world did view the hidden smoke village as an independent village with very little regards for the others. Sumeru sighed. What's the second thing? A team to Issei. Nar casually said, it's no secret that Ishii and Kemri hate one another. If any of my men were caught, they'd be sucked for information and then killed on the spot. Again. Capturing a Hoshi nin does not seem like that big of a gain for the other village or country. Fine, it's done, responded the Hoshikage. Just one more question. Nar raised his eyebrows. Just what will you do when you finally reunite with Haruno Sakura? Nar gave a grin. Don't worry, I know how much she means to you. Poisoning Akahoshi and all. If I do kill her, I'll let you say thank you first. You're too kind, Sumeru said, standing at Zabuza's grave. Sakura stared at the sight with an emotionless stare. Her mind replayed the mission to the land of waves that she went on so many years ago. Back when she was an annoying fangirl of the most amazing person she knew at that time, and their third teammate was a hyperactive blonde idiot. Now they were different. First, Sasaki was nowhere near amazing. A tough shinobi. Yeah, but not amazing. He was heartless. And Sakura had it in her mind that she would be the one to deliver the killing blow to him. She would do it not for herself, but because Sasaki had attempted to do the same thing to Nar. The only person in this entire world that actually gave a damn about her. And he had changed. After the failed Sasuke retrieval mission, Nar was more aware of his surroundings. He was able to point out every single root member that tailed him in Sakura when the two would walk through the village. Of course, because of Naruto's special power, he was limited to the missions he could go on, though he did get some training in with Asuma and Kakashi. Sakura smiled a bit. That little baka continued to grow stronger while constantly looking over his shoulder. She was not surprised that he attempted to leave. Hell, she had even caught him in the act. But she was amazed at how much he could endure. Carrying the scorn of what seemed like the entire village minus a few for nearly an entire year. He had definitely changed from the annoying prankster he once was. And then there was her, Haruno Sakura. At one point of time, the thought of abandoning her village and living on the run would have scared her and prevented her from getting enough of her beauty sleep. Now she laughed at the thought of returning back to the Hidden Leaf village. She had changed in the one way she never thought possible. She became one with her teammates. Their ideals, their likes, their dislikes, their dreams, and their emotions. She has now learned and understood them. She understood why Sasaki needed to kill his brother to avenge his clan and then start anew. She understood why Naruto needed the attention as well as why he wanted the respectful title of Hokage. In the past, she thought they were foolish, both of them, for their dreams. Killing an S-rank criminal, the dead last becoming Hokage. Both were laughable and highly doubtful. Now she believed that if anyone could do it, it would be those two, and she would be there too. Watch it. Her mind then took a step backwards as she pictured Narzuaki. The next Hokage. The line could be said over and over in her head to help her sleep at night. But the truth of the matter is it would never happen. She wondered if he really was the Kaibunkage or if this was just another trap set by Danzō. Was Nar even alive? No, that was a foolish thought. He was alive somewhere. Terumi Mei was a powerful figure within the village hidden in smoke. She served as the temp Konkage whenever Naruto had to leave the village. She was also a great advisor and an excellent mentor. There were times when her anger got the best of her, but normally she was a loving, carefree, beautiful woman. And that was why Chojuro left with her. It was quite unfair that the Kiri Council opted to go with Kinano instead of Mei. Chojuro, the woman said, breaking her assistant and guard out of his thoughts. Where is Suri? I told her to be here in 5 minutes. It's now 10 minutes. I told her that you wanted to speak to her, but Chojuro less than greater than S words trailed off as he thought about the brash teenager. It was best to let the dagger-wielding girl to be left alone when she became angered. Mei gave a small sigh and then smiled politely. Chojuro, find her or I'll kill you. Hi. Chojuro responded before leaving instantly. Mei looked out of the window slightly. Whenever Orochimaru met up with someone, it was never really good. And when that someone was Makajuki Kinano, it only made things worse. While the hidden mist and hidden smoke did well to stay out of each other's business, it was no secret that Mei had left Kiri for Kemri. It would be only a matter of time before they came to find her. Then there was the information that Haruno Sakura would soon be in the village. Nar was very clear about the orders. Allow Sakura to come in and wait if he was not there. But there was one slight catch. If Sakura were to try anything funny, they'd kill her. Mei was a bit surprised at that. While Naruto was able to fake many people out with his fake smiles, she knew him better than that. In fact, she and Renera have both been able to pick up on which smiles were real and which were fake. So, when Naruto gave her a smile and said that the decision was all right with him, Mei knew he was lying. Somewhere inside of him, he wanted Sakura to live. Then again, he probably wanted to hit her with 1 or 2 renin for Sasaki shoving a Chidori into his chest and then being put under watch by Danzō. Hey, old. The loudmouth purple-haired Kunoichi did not get all of it out. As Mei launched a stapler at Hirameki Tsururi, it met its mark, knocking the girl flat onto her back. Call me old again and I'll do more than that. Mei muttered. The girl on the ground splashed into a puddle of water before Suri poked her head into the door. Is it safe? Asked the Kem Kunoichi. What did you want? I have a mission for you. Mei stated. Suri less than greater than S dark green eyes widened. You're going to go find Haruno Sakura and bring her to the village. I will send Yukimaru with you. Suri groaned. Yukimaru, but he's just a tunin. And your point, if anything should happen, he will unleash the power of the Sanbi. Mei said, I could always send you with someone else. Chojuro, Tsushigumo Jin, Kazuden, the last name caused Suri to shiver. Naruto's personal problem solver was not a force to reckon with, and the newly made Jonin would never get on his bad side again. Fine, Yukimaru's fine, Suri said. But what if she attacks and knocks him out before the stupid turtle reacts? You expect me to take her on by myself? Mei smiled. You're not afraid, are you, Suri-chan? What? Hell no. I'm the Black Rose of the hidden smoke. I'm not afraid of anyone, shouted Suri before turning around. I'll find Guren's precious Nan and we less than greater than LL go off as soon as possible. And when Naruto-sensei returns, tell him that it was I who took down the famous Haruno Sakura. Just watch out for her kisses. I hear they're deadly. Instead of a verbal response, Suri just scoffed and left the office. Mei chuckled quietly before looking at Sururi's profile on her desk. And Nar says she's nothing like him. I doubt that. Nightfall came over the village before anyone knew it, and that was just fine by him. He hated being spotted anyway. Fortunately, he and his team were not drawing attention to themselves or else. Sasaki damn this woman, he thought. I don't think we can trust this Kagami Doze guy. We shouldn't have asked for his help. Are you insane, woman? If Orochimaru heard that we didn't get him on our side, shut the hell up. I was talking to Sasaki Karen snapped at Sugetsu before he could finish. Sasaki sighed. Jugo, I need you to use the animals to tell us the best way to get through Earth, Wind, and Rain countries. There shouldn't be much problem getting through Tori. Nokuni. Hi, Jugo responded before calling for a bird. Karen, I also need you to stay focused. I don't want another mishap like in River Country. Sasaki said sternly. Karen nodded vigorously as Sujitsu laughed. While Karen had been so enraptured in flirting with Sasaki, a censor who could suppress his chakra to minute levels was able to attack. Of course, no one really surprised Uchiha Sasaki anymore, and the man was quickly dealt with. But Sasaki was thoroughly pissed that Karen had slacked off for just a split second and the redhead had been trying relentlessly to get him to forgive her. So, are we going after your teammate in Wave? Stated Sugetsu. You know, the one you said loved you so much. Karen scoffed. Why would we want to go after her? No, Sakura poses no threat to us, replied the Uchiha. And I doubt that we'll hear anything from Naruto in a long time. Sujitsu frowned. The blonde idiot. Sasaki gave Suiju a glance that any normal person would have believed it to be just that, a glance. But Suetsu tensed a bit. While his sharing may have been inactive at the moment, Sasaki had a thought about striking. Don't underestimate him. Sasaki said he knows the Rasengan, an attack that is stronger than my Chidori. Sujitsu gave a small disapproving snort. If we ever run into him, the same rule applies to him as they do Itachi. I face my brother alone. Both of them, no one said a word for two reasons. When Sasaki wanted to fight someone on his own, it usually meant that they were strong enough to gain the Uchiha's interest. The only exception would be Itachi, who Sasaki had a grudge against. The second reason was that Sasaki had called this Naruto a brother. Even if their teamwork had slowly been growing, Sasaki would never view any of them as his family. This Nar character must be important to Sasaki. She wore a fishnet top beneath a gray-black jacket and a black skirt. Her chemir hide in the fashion of a belt around her waist. Her purple hair done in the style of a ponytail with two silver chin-length bangs on the side of her face. Her dark green eyes continued to look at her traveling companion, one hand dangerously close to one of her treasured dirks. Hey Sururi-chan, began the girl's partner for the mission. You think Guren-chan and Rinarun arrived to the village already for the 100th time? Yes, Suri shouted. You didn't have to yell, said the younger boy. Suri sighed heavily. I could have been put with anyone else. But no, I get Yukimaru because he's the favorite of our temporary Kaibunkage. Suri then saw the expression on Yukimaru less than greater than S face. Remembering her first out-of-village mission with Kazuden, she sighed. Look, I don't want to baby you on a mission where we'll be facing an S-ranked criminal. But I thought she was just a that's what they want you to believe. Truthfully, Haruno Sakura is one of the most dangerous people in the entire world. Remember, she was on Naruto-sensei's team. She's super tough. Yukimaru blinked before nodding. Right, Sayuri-chan. Man, you're really smart. I forgot all about that, stated Yukimaru. Suri smirked proudly. Well, Naruto-sensei didn't promote me to Jonin for nothing. But why is Renera escorting the Kaibunkage and Marishu and Anbu? Yukimaru questioned sincerely. Shut up, Yukimaru, Suri said before muttering to herself. Brat. The three men dashed through the trees at high speeds while a large white dog followed on the ground. Kiba-san said the eyes of the team. Hyuga Tokuma, have you picked up on her scent yet? Not yet, Ka responded. We need to hurry, Torin stated. If she leaves, there is no telling on where she might go, and Danzō-sama will not tolerate failure. Right, Ka and Tokuma said. Nar was currently on his way back to Kimriakar with Renera and Guren both following silently. He knew what their problem was. Sakura. While Nar did not see Sakura as a serious threat, he did know to not let her kiss him. Those lips had been the death of a handful of men. Nar-sensei. Nar glanced over his shoulder at Reamer. When Haruno Sakura shows up, what are our orders? Secure the area. I don't want anything or anyone getting in the way. Nar answered. The wind blew slightly and Nar clutched his dark gray cage hat before it flew off of his head. I don't think this is the smartest idea, stated Guren. Sakura is a threat to all of the villages. If she found out where Kimir is located, then she could easily reveal the location towards other villages such as Ishii and Konoha. You're right, Nar said casually. And you're not worried? Guren asked. No, Naruto said with a grin. And neither should you. I have a plan. Hi, Lord Kaibunkage. Guren said within the village hidden among tree leaves. Naruto Shikamaru was having another troublesome morning when his former teammate Yaman Nakayainino barged into his home to wake him up. Of course, today was pretty important as the council was going to discuss Konoha's part in a battle against Akatsuki. Now, Shikamaru disagreed with this convention for two major reasons. Reason 1, that meant more work for him. And reason 2, Konoha's Gentriki had left years ago. Putting those two reasons together, and Shikamaru had already theorized that the hidden leaf should actually stay out of Akatsuki's way. Unless the group did something personal to them. Of course, there was the Runin with Kakuzu and Hedon, but Asuma lived and all was right in the world. Shikamaru threw a pillow over his face as he heard the troublesome woman once more. Sometimes he wished that it was Ino that got all lovesick and chased after Sasaki. But if that were to happen, he'd feel even worse. Get your lazy up, Ino, stated the next clan leader of the Nar clan. Could you keep it down a little bit? I'm trying to rest before the meeting later on today. Ino less than greater than, eyebrow twitched. You mean the one that's happening in 5 minutes? Damn. His sense of time was becoming that of Kakashi's. I'm coming, Shikamaru said, getting out of the sheets. He gave Yan and rubbed the back of his neck. Just why do they have to meet so early in the morning anyway? If I didn't have a genin team to meet with, I'd actually take the time out to beat your lazy. Get a move on, Ino said angrily. All right, Shikamaru said. Troublesome woman. Unfortunately for Shikamaru, Ino had learned how to do a lot more with her hair than she did when fighting against Sakura at the Chunin exams 10 years ago. And one of those techniques was strangling her opponent with said hair or just holding them still while she delivered a blow with her free hands. All in all, it was going to be a troublesome morning indeed. Suri and Yukimaru arrived at Chukin Point, an island in between the land of water and the land of ash that merchants used as a resting area. This is where the two were to meet Sakura at. I wish you could summon sharks instead of dolphins, Suri told her companion. It would come in handy when she tries to attack. But Suri-chan, dolphins are pretty useful, too, and dangerous, responded Yukimaru. Suri gave him a nonchalant wave. Yeah, whatever. Sharks would have been better. Yukimaru did not respond, the sleeves of his gray shirt swallowing his hands as he stood like a child with his mother. He then remembered that Sururi liked to battle and smiled brightly. Hey, Sururi-chan, do you want to see a trick I learned from Guan? Yukimaru asked. Suried, no, I want you to stand here and be on your guard. I read that Sakura can repress her chakra and hide as well as cast genjutsu that can fool most people. We have to be on our toes. Children, he sent children. Sayuri and Yukimaru turned to the woman. She wore the noted red top, black skirt, black gloves, and black heels as the description said she would. But more importantly, she had pink hair and green eyes. Suri moved in front of Yukimaru, both of her hands on her dirks. What are your names? You don't need to know that, responded Sayuri. We're here to take you to Chemir no Sadto, where you will await our Kaibunkage. Sakura smirked. Oh, really? And who says that I won't force you to take me there? Suri blinked. What? It doesn't matter. You're going there to wait for the Kaibunkage. No, said Sakura. Suri less than greater than S hands were now gripping the handles of her blades. Not until you answer me 2 questions. What are they? Yukimaru asked. Shut up. I got this. Suri snapped. What are your questions? Sakura giggled a bit. You're quite the hothead. That might get you killed one day. Sakura regained herself. Okay. Question 1. What are your names? Quote, I'm Yukimaru, answered the boy. Suri thought about turning around and kicking the boy all the way back to the hidden smoke, but then she remembered that betrayal is one of the things that makes Yukimaru lose control over the Sanbi. Instead, she sighed and answered the woman. Sayuri, now that I know that, Sakura said, I want to introduce myself. My name is Haruno Sakura. We know who you. Second question. Suri was not pleased about being interrupted, but let it go for now. Does this cage of yours have a name? I mean, surely he doesn't believe that I'll fall for a nameless man, does he? I'm not obliged to tell you anything. Now, let's less than greater than go. Suri said. Sakura's green eyes began to glow as she smiled sweetly. Oh, Yukiun. Suri blinked before looking at Yukimaru. The boy was completely in some trance. Suri then turned to see Sakura beckoning the young teen with a finger. Come here, please, right away, Sakura-chan, Yukimaru said in a monotone voice as he began to trudge towards Sakura. Suri grunted. That's it. Surui ran for Sakura. Now I'm going to cut you into 5 pieces and then ship you to Chem. Sakura ended her technique on Yukimaru and allowed Surui's daggers to slash her in half. A smile came on Sakura's face as her body deteriorated into pink petals. Suri glanced over at Yukimaru who was looking around in confusion. Get ready, Yukimaru. She's attacking, stated Suri. Huh, oh, right, Yukimaru replied, doing hand seals. Suri watched as the area around them was covered in a dark mist. Her green eyes scanning the area carefully. Any normal shinobi would be angered by Yukimaru's illusionary mist technique. She then remembered that Sakura was a genjutsu specialist as well. This probably did nothing for her. Soon, several large stems began to fire from the ground around Tsururi and Yukimaru. Suri waited as each stem sprouted a large pink flower that released pink pollen. You stay focused. This is a genjutsu, Suri called. Right, Sakura said, coming from above. Suri was able to roll out of the way, the ground where she was previously on caving under Sakura's heavy stomp. Sakura then did hand seals and inhaled before exhaling a fireball fire release great fireball jutsu. Not reading this attack in the file, Suri was thoroughly surprised until a large ball of water cancelled it out. Giving Yukimaru a nod of appreciation, Suri ran towards Sakura at faster speeds. Sakura took out 2 kana and began to block Suri's strikes with her dirks. The sound of their metal clapping was heard throughout the entire resting area. You're not bad, Tsururi-chan. Sakura said. I'm just getting started, Sayuri said before spinning on her toes at high speed. You take cover. Hi, Yukimaru called before diving into the water. Sakura watched as Suri less than greater than S body became something akin to a black tornado. An eyebrow arched as she remembered reading something about the Kurosuke clan and their black tornado technique, but this was different. Suri's body seemed to multiply before coming at Sakura at high speeds. The pink-haired rogue was able to dodge the 3 twisters safely, her mind wondering what rank Suri was. Surely, she was at least a tunin with this speed and accuracy. Sakura came to a stop and saw the 3 twisters that were Suri and 2 clones. Shadow clones Sakura presumed circling around her. Soon they formed a larger black twister with Sakura in the eye of the storm. Gotcha! Suri shouted as her 2 dirks fired from the twister towards Sakura. Sakura leapt backwards to dodge the blades only to be scratched on her back. She then realized that each clone must still hold a weapon. You can't escape this. You're done for. 2 more dirks came from Sakura's left and the former Leaf Nin was forced to dodge again, a smile coming on her face. This is pretty good, stated Sakura. Too bad it can't really do anything against me. I'm not done, came Suri's voice as her daggers shot from underground. Sakura jumped into the air, but the blades followed, twisting around one of another. This is the end. Sakura held a hand seal before spitting a powerful blast of mud towards the blade's earth release mud bullet. The attack was able to knock the blades into the ground. Sakura began descending towards the ground with a chakra-enhanced fist. Shanaru Yukimaru was sitting on one of his dolphin summons when he felt a strong gust of wind that disrupted Sayuri's technique. When the dust cleared, Sakura stood with a small smile and Suri was nowhere in sight. So you can travel underground. That's good to know, Sakura said, holding a hand seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Yukimaru less than greater than S eyes widened. There were only 2 people he knew that used that technique. Naruto and Renera. But now Sakura had created 2 shadow clones that stood beside her. Yumiko. While Tsururi-chan is using her mayfly technique, we should distract Sakura. Yukimaru said, are you ready? Ready, Yukimaru. The dolphin called before Yukimaru held a hand seal. Sakura watched water shoot from the dolphin's blowhole. The water seemed to freeze above her before firing down in thin needles. Water release. 1,000 raining needles. Sakura and her 2 clones got out of the way of the attack. The real Sakura glanced towards Yukimaru before firing 10 needles from her mouth. Prepared needle shot. Yumiko dove underwater taking Yukimaru with him. Sakura then glanced around. She can't stay underground for long. Sakura said, until then, I'll just wait. A man steered the horses ahead with the frightened child in the carriage. On either side of the carriage were 2 royal knights on horses. Were less than greater than not. Going to make it all the way to Ki. The man driving the carriage said, "We're heading towards Hosager. The Hoshikage will know what to do," one of the knights said as they continued on. "We have already sent one of Akane-san's hawks back to her. Let's hope she gets it in time." The man said, "If not, Lady Shiori maybe. Do not think that we're less than greater than getting closer." The second knight said, "Let's just hope we lost them." Sakura smiled. One of her clones now held Yukimaru in a loving embrace. The boy suckered into her glowing green eyes again. Sakura giggled a bit. Boys were so easy to seduce. "All right, Suri. Here's the deal," stated Sakura as she revealed a kunai. "You come out and surrender, and I go to Ki with your friend here alive. It's less than greater than really your choice." Suri slowly came from beneath the ground. A black rose around her before dispersing. "Let him go first," Suri said. "Fine," Sakura said as her clone released Yukimaru. "Now put your little knives up." "Right," Sururi said before Yukimaru saw a clone of Sori behind Sakura with the daggers ready for strike. Sakura sighed and turned around extending her hand. Suri and Yukimaru were both stunned as the pink-haired kunoichi held Suri in place with just one finger. "I'll give you one chance to answer my second question or I'll knock you into next week." Sakura said, "Who is your Kaibunkage?" Suri grunted. If she did so much as a flinch, Sakura would not only attack her, but Yukimaru as well. "Trumi, May." Sayuri lied calmly. "Rabibunkage, the woman who sent me here, is Terumi May." Sakura's eyes widened in fury as the black diamond appeared on her forehead. Suri actually froze in fear as Sakura grabbed the girl's collar and hoisted her into the air. "Utsumaki, Nar, where the hell is Yusuzuki?" "Nar," Sakura asked through gritted teeth. Sori went to use her daggers, but Sakura quickly tossed the girl towards the water. Yukimaru watched in awe and fear as the smoke Jonan's body actually skipped across the water's surface before sinking. Sakura then turned her cold gaze towards Yukimaru. "Where is he?" Sakura asked slowly. "I don't know. Is Sori-chan all right?" Yukimaru responded. Sakura and her clones came in on Yukimaru. "He left for a meeting." Sakura and her clones paused. In the distance, Suri less than greater than S body floated to the surface, motionless. "Suri-chan. All right, boy, take me, Suri." Sakura was nearly blown away by the surge of chakra that came from Yukimaru. Lying on the surface of the water, Sururi smirked to herself. Tricking Yukimaru into thinking that she was dead was wrong, but it got him to unleash the chakra of the Sandy, and that was all they needed. Sakura, however, scoffed. "You think you're scary. I knew the QB." Sakura said as Yukimaru blasted her away with a powerful ball of water. Sakura slid a few feet before shattering the ball of water with Kana. The purple marks now on her face. "Let's go, you stupid turtle," Sakura shouted while doing hand seals. She bit her thumb and placed her palm towards the ground, summoning jutsu. Suri only stared in disbelief at Sakura's summon. For once in her life, Harameki Sururi K less than greater than S Black Rose was truly terrified at the large summon. Sumaru smiled at his wife as she locked the door to his office. "You do know that I'm still on duty, right?" Sumaru asked. "Well, you can take a break, can't you?" Heard Hokuro. "Or do I have to?" There was a loud banging at the door which caused Hokuro to open it immediately. There stood Akane panting a bit. "Akane, what is it?" questioned Sumaru as he sensed the urgency. "We need to contact Naruto. Shin has killed by Akatsuki." Thereafter, Shiori Akane informed. Sumaru hopped from his seat. Dragon, eagle, dog, the three masked Ambu appeared when summoned. "Go with Hokurudo to find Shiori. Akane, send a messenger hawk for Naruto and then go after them." Akane nodded before disappearing out of the room. Doki, a large man with blue hair and small green eyes appeared. I need you to go to Suna and deliver this message. Hi, Lord Hoshikage. Doi replied. The others in the room all used a standard shushin to leave, leaving Sumeru alone in his office. He fell back in his seat and closed his eyes. Sheen, priestess of Demon Country, was dead. Her daughter, Shiori, was the next in line to be priestess, but she was more important to the shinobi world because she had a special chakra that could restrain Bu. Yes, Uzumaki Shiori was a real treasure to the ninja world. Yukimaru lay defeated as Sakura stared down on him, dispelling her summon in the background. The merchants and fishermen within the resting area said nothing as we as sorry. Sakura gently lifted Yukimaru up and began to carry him as if he were her child and she his mother. Take me to Camry. It was a simple and rather pointless demand. But Sori moved towards one of the boats that had a key emblem on the side. She had no clue on who the boat belonged to. But since the boat itself was marked with the hidden smoke insignia, the Kaibunkage could repay the fisherman or merchant later for its use. Getting into the boat, Suri grabbed the oars only for Sakura to snatch the oars from her hands. Just point to the direction. I'll get us there faster, Sakura said. This way, Suri said pointing. And with one massive stroke, the boat was already moving at high speeds. By the way, that summon beat my teammates. I must beat their sensei. That's all I'm saying, Sakura stated. Okay, Suri replied. Sakura continued to row the boat. Nurid was in chem. She was one step closer into finding both of her teammates and finishing what she started. As a leaf, Kunoichi, beating both of those sorry bastards for leaving in the first place. Going into one of Orochimaru's bases, Sasaki found Amachi writing up a report. Ah, Sasaki-sama, Amachi said, how was your trip? Did you meet with Dosame? HN was the Uchiha's reply. I'm going back to Odagar. I take it that Orochimaru hasn't returned from his meeting with the Mizukage. No, but the deal is still on. You'll have your wife soon enough, Amachi stated. Sasaki nodded before walking away. Curious, Karen moved towards Amachi. Gomen, Amachi-san, Karen said, gaining the scientist's attention. Sasaki is getting a wife from Kiri. What? Oh yes. Third one, I believe, answered the man. Orochimaru-sama wants Sasaki to be able to restore his clan as soon as possible. With the Uchiha clan now a part of Odagar, we less than greater than LLB unstoppable. And just how many wives can he have? Karen asked. Amachi shrugged. I don't know. I never really heard a limit to that. Oh, thanks, Karen said, cheerfully before walking away. What a strange woman, Amachi said to himself. Ha looked at Akamaru, who had transformed into an exact replica of its owner. I don't smell her, boy. What about you? Ka asked. Akamaru shook his head. Nope. Right. We should get out of here, Ka said. Wait a minute, said the Haga on the team. I found something. Tokuma squatted before picking up a long piece of pink hair. She was here. So, what do we do? Do we chase after her? Ka questioned. This is a difficult decision to make, Ka. And Akamaru gave identical sighs. They hated it when Shino took his time with plans when they were on teams. Now, this guy was going to take even longer to answer a simple yes or no question. Chasing after her could mean walking into a trap. Then again, this may be the only lead we have on her for a while. I say we go after her. All right, Akamaru, get a good whiff of that hair. KBO ordered. We less than greater than LL find her and bring her back to the village before she gets herself killed. She will be killed if you bring her back to the village, stated Tokuma. We less than greater than LLC. Ka said Nar and his company had taken a rest a few miles away from the border of wind and fire countries. While Renera had wasted little time lounging against a tree and going to sleep, Gurren and Naro were still well awake. Nar-sama. Nar glanced at Gurren as she spoke. What will you do if the Kage and Sakura are both within the village at the same time? Surely their last encounter will evoke past vendettas. Maybe you're right about that, Nar answered. And how will you deal with seeing the Kage again? Gurren asked. Nar gave a shrug. I can't really answer that. Then again, I doubt the Gar knows that I'm the Kaibunkage. Nar then glanced at his former student. And if he goes on a rampage, I know just who I'm sending in first. Gurren smirked. I could always wake him up if you want. Nar-sama. Please, Nar said. Gurren placed a palm on the ground before Renera sprung into the air, clutching his sore rear, a jagged pink crystal in place on where he was previously at. Nar laughed at the sight as Renera collapsed onto the ground. Let's less than greater than go, Renera. We have to continue to be there before Sakura gets impatient, stated the Kaibunkage. If that happens, then you'll see why I call her a pink-haired monstrosity. Whatever, Renera said as he slowly stood up. And couldn't you just wake me up like normal people? Gurren smiled. That is how I normally wake people up. Annoying old woman, muttered the teen. Nar paused in step and looked back at the direction towards Kumokuni. Something isn't right, Nar said to himself. He then looked at the sun and saw the rainbow surrounding it. Something is definitely not right. Utsumaki Shiori was a normally happy, energetic, fun-loving child who kept her mother quite busy during the day. She adored both of her parents dearly and loved going to the Hidden Smoke village to visit her father and Mei, who she deemed as her grandmother. But if one were to see her now, they would never know that. The few splatters of blood that remained on her stoic face were probably the only color on her skin. Her platinum blonde hair sprayed across her back and her normally glistening dark purple eyes were nearly void of any life. Lady Shiori, her personal guard, Jacken, stated, "We will be okay. The Hosokage will be here soon to take you to your father." The little girl nodded slowly, her eyes on the ground. Jacken, a former smoke nin that Naruto had placed with Shin once she found out she was pregnant 4 years ago, had grown quite attached to Shiori. Their relationship could even rival that of Gurren and Yukimaru's. Seeing Shiori in this shape nearly killed Jacken, and he wanted nothing more than to see her smile again. Then again, after witnessing the death of her mother at such a young age, Jacken understood completely what Shiori was going through. Lady Shiori, it might be best if you ate something, Jacken said, extending a sandwich to the girl. Please, Lady Shiori, eat and then we will continue to find your dad. Shiori hesitantly took the sandwich and brought it to her trembling lips. She took a small bite of the sandwich, causing Jacken to sigh once more. Whenever Shiori did not eat, it meant something was wrong. She loved to eat to restore her energy before running off again, especially. A light bulb popped in his head before he went into the carriage. He came back with a small scroll and a smile on his face. Your father made me carry this scroll. Inside, he sealed every flavor of ramen known to him, including all of your favorites, Jacken said with a smile. Shiori looked up at Jack's smile before turning away, taking another small bite out of her sandwich. Jacken's smile slowly dropped. It was a long shot, but he had to try something. Jacken, one of the knights said, there is no sign or Dara or Sazori. We should be safe for the moment, right? Replied Jacken. Has a team entered the palace yet? No word yet. And when they do, I'll send an order to find Shiori's special Kanai. We want the Kaibunkage to come here as soon as possible, the man said. Hi, Jacken said, and the knight went to resume his post. Jacken looked down at Shiori, hitting what he had to do. Shiori-chan, your special knife that your dad gave you. Where did you hide it? Shiori said nothing as her eyes began to water. Jacken's face saddened before he opened his arms and the girl instinctively embraced him, crying openly. I want my daddy, she cried. I know you do, Shiori-chan comforted the man. But we need the special knife or else it's going to take him forever to get here. I miss my mommy. The girl continued. Jacken said nothing. There was nothing to say about that. Shin was dead. No ninjutsu in the world could bring her back. Well, except for the forbidden one that the Nadim Hokage had made. But Naruto would never agree to that. No matter how happy it would make Shiori. I know, Shiori-chan. Jacken said, we less than greater than LLB in chem. He left out the word hopefully for the sake of the moment. Then another thought popped into his mind. Nar was not going to be pleased about the news. Nar paused in his step again, looking over his shoulder. Something wrong. Kaibunkage-sama, Guren asked. Naruto less than greater than, eyes stared off into the distance. His facial features settled into an expression that Rionera had seen time and time again. His sensei was worried about something. Nar sensei, is there something wrong? Questioned the former student of Nar. I don't know. Something just feels off. Nar stated before taking a hesitant step back towards the land of bears. Nar gripped the necklace had given him before his departure from the hidden leaf. You two go ahead. I'm going to go and find out what it is. We can't just leave you out here. Naruto-sensei. People will get angry at us. Rionera said before sighing. I guess I'll never get that nap. Guren glared at Rionera. There could be something going on and all you're worried about is a nap. Sort of, responded the teen. A hawk circled above Nar before landing on the ground in front of him. One of Akane's summons. Nar said, what's the message? Naren, the priestess of Demon Country has been murdered. The hawk began to relay the message. Your daughter is on her way to Hoshiakur. No Sadto. I do not know whether or not the ones responsible are chasing Lady Shiori or not. I am sorry. Naren, Rionera, Guren, go directly back to Hoshi and wait for me there. Nar said where are you going? Reamer asked before. Nar vanished in a thin line of smoke. Guren made 2 hand seals before a large pink dragon rose beneath her crystal release tearing crystal falling dragon. Let's go, Rionera, Guren instructed. Rionera hopped onto the dragon before the duo began heading back towards the village hidden among stars. A large clay bird flew over the area quietly carrying 2 men on it. I don't see them, stated the blonde. Maybe the brat actually died in the explosion. No, she survived. The second man, who was fully clothed in a black robe and a large conical straw hat, stated. The man with her got her out in time. Wait, I got something. Yeah, the blonde said. 5 of them moving in fast. A smirk came on the blonde's face. Time to show them my art. Yeah, you're right to a degree, stated Dodera's partner. But we should hurry. The longer we take, the further she could have gone. Right, Master Sazori. Dara responded. Sakura gave a breath of relief, resting her sore arms. Rowing a boat of full strength from what was considered the midway point between Kiri and Ki was tiresome, but she was close. She along with Yukimaru and Sayuri were in the port at Yusuzu no Sato, the tourist and commerce village of the land of Ash. Suri nodded at the man at a local stand before going back to Sakura and Yukimaru. The Kaibunkage has not been through here yet. We're too early, Suri said. Sakura less than greater than, eyes showed Suri that those were the wrong words to say. But we're going to go ahead and go to Camry where you'll meet old Lady May from there. You're out of my hands. Sakura smiled. You're annoying. Did you know that? Bite me, responded the smoke Jan. While she knew that Sakura could probably kill her on the spot, she would never let anyone get the last word. Not Mei, not Nar, and definitely not Sakura. Let's less than greater than go. It's quite the journey. Sakura raised an eyebrow before Yukimaru quietly followed Suri into the village. Seeing no other choice, Sakura began to follow the two younger shinobi. Sooner or later, she would be halfway done with her self-giving mission. Nar looked around. His eyes were slowly morphing into that of the cursed fox's eyes. He was trying his best to keep his anger in control, but that was easier said than done. Here he was in his daughter's bedroom, staring at 4 down guards, blood-splattered walls, and a bed that had been blown into 2 pieces. A hand rubbed the burnt sheets of his daughter's bed. He closed his eyes, hot tears threatening to spill. That is, until a clone in a separate room dispelled, sending him some good information. Shiori had escaped with Jacken. Nar then sighed. She was still being protected by Jacken, a man who Nar trusted more than most of his Anbu. He figured his daughter and/or Jacken must have forgotten to take the special kana he had given Shiori in their haste to leave. Hey, boss, stated another clone. Nar turned to see his clone holding Shin less than greater than S body. I figured we'd take her back to Chem to have a proper burial. Hi. The young Kaibunkage said there was a message. The clone continued. Akatsuki has learned of Shiori's special abilities, but they do not know whether or not she is our daughter. Joining up with Gar has now become more of a necessity than a want. Nar nodded before moving towards Shiori's closet. He had given his daughter a handful of useful things that she thought were just cool trinkets. He searched until he found what he was looking for, a glass ball. Concentrating like he once saw the third Hokage do. Naruto closed his eyes and muttered one thing. Shiori. The ball in his hands began to glow and show the little girl sleeping against Jacken, who was wide awake looking around. Aku. Nar called. A man with long brown hair and golden eyes appeared at the door wearing white robes. I'm going to take Shi's body with me. I need you to tell the Demon Country Council that our alliance is still intact. I don't blame any of you for her death. Aku bowed. Thank you, Yumaki-sama. Shiori will stay with me for now. Nar said. Aku knew better than to argue with the IATE father, even if it was custom for the priestess to be taught in Oni. No Nuni. I understand, Utsuaki-sama. She is your daughter first and a priestess second. Aku said. Right, Naruto said before he and his clone carrying Shin disappeared with a smoke cushion. Aku raised his head before a hand came onto his shoulder. Leader Sama wants a talk with us. A mysterious man said from behind Aku. Our next mission is to capture and seal the Ikibi. Suzori and Deidara can handle Shiori. Right, Aku responded. Hokuto looked over her shoulder. Akane, how far is he? Hoko asked. Akane's eyes now were golden with 4 black hooks around her pupil. This was known as the Katsugen. 400 yards and decreasing. Akane replied. All right then, stated the Hoshikage's wife as she built her chakra up. Akane watched as 4 chakra wings sprouted. Keep an eye on Suzori. Hi, Lady Hokurudo. Akane stated before Hokuro took off for Deidara. Deidara mused at the sight. So she can fly. This just became interesting. Yeah. Akane kept focus on Deidara and Hokuto less than greater than S fight until she saw something moving towards her at high speeds. She ducked beneath the sharp extendable tail of Suzori less than greater than S Haroko puppet. We can't less than greater than T seem to break that thing, the eagle asked Ambu said. I don't really see a weak spot on it, replied the redhead. We're less than greater than just going to have to make one. Hi, the Anbu said. Akane and the eagle-masked Anbu took off for Sazori, who was sheltered in his hero puppet. While the two ran, Akane thought about her true purpose on being out here. There was no sign of Shiori or her caravan, but Akane had a faint hold of the girl's chakra signature. For the time, Shiori was still alive. Shikamaru stifled the yan. As I was saying, continued Arame Shibi. The Akatsuki will soon become a threat to all of us, not just villages with Jinchuriki. It is safe to say that we should have taken the case Cage's offer. Danzō gave a small nod. I see. Danzō less than greater than S visible. I then turned to Shikamaru. And what about you, Nara? Surely you have a plan about what we should do. Shikamaru would never forgive his dad for naming him head of the clan just so Shikamaru could attend these meetings while Shikaku stayed at home and rested. Honestly, I don't really care about them. This caused the others at the table, Sansuma, to frown in curiosity. They're going around collecting beiju. Konoha no longer houses a buju. Besides, after we rejected the Cage twice, I doubt he would be willing to take our helping hand anyway. Inuzuka soon growled, what kind of shinobi are you? There are men running around collecting the strongest bodies of chakra, and all you can think of is sitting around and staying out of their way. Shikamaru sighed. Actually, I did try to help out 10 years ago. Of course, I wasn't head of my clan yet, so my words meant nothing. Shikamaru less than greater than eyes then became cold and calculating, but I did vote against Naruto's punishment. If you and the others would have listened, then he might have stayed and we could have had a legit reason in fighting Akatsuki. This is about some gentry. Udaten Kaharu said, had we not restricted Naruto's movements, who knows what could have happened. Akatsuki would have found out where he is and came for him. The village would have been attacked like Suna or even worse and we would have fought them off. It's the common life of a shinobi. Shikamaru said, your friendliness with the container is clouding your judgment. What we did was for the best of the village. Mito Homura said, you're right. Losing the QB. We know Kitsune was the best thing for the village, responded a sarcastic Shikamaru. We really don't need the strongest of the buju on our side. Danzō raised a hand, stopping the argument from going on any further. You hold a strong point, Nar Shikamaru, Danzō stated. However, what is done. No need in worrying over a traitor, Ginuriki or not. Shikamaru gave a small sigh. As it stands, I am not a big supporter of alliances. I only look out for the best of my village. And what do you suggest, Lord Hokage? Yamanaka Enonoi asked with a small hint of disdain. It was no secret that the Yamanaka, Akamaiki, and Nar clans were not Danzō less than greater than S biggest supporters in the village. We will renew our alliance with Sanaga, but only until this Akatsuki is taken down. Danzō said, we will use our resources from Nami Nukuni to aid us. You mean sacrificing their men for our war? Eniki questioned. If that's what you want to call it, then yes, responded the Hokage. They are still dead with us. The third is dead. Danzō finished before Inoichi could argue anymore. And I am now Hokage. We will do it that way. Eniki only nodded. Now I will send a team to Wave to let them know of our deal. Shikamaru only glanced at the others around him. While a handful of them actually agreed with Danzō less than greater than S ruling, the rest clearly expressed differently. Troublesome, the Nar muttered beneath his breath so that no one else would hear. Hokurudo panted as she looked around. She had dodged a handful of Dara's exploding clay that he had shaped into a variety of birds and insects. She had used the mysterious peacock method beast twice to shield her from the explosions, and now her chakra was beginning to thin. She did not have the reserves her husband did. The sound of metal slapping skin caught her attention and she watched Akane tumble on the ground after being slapped away by Sazor's tail. 2 of the 3 Anbu members were now dead and the last one, the dragon-masked Anbu, was currently aiding Akane to her feet. We should have waited, Hokuto said to herself. The dragon-masked Anbu ran through 4 seals before inhaling. He fired a fireball into the air which branched off into smaller fireballs raining down on Sazori. Fire release Hell's Rain Jutsu. Hokuto watched as the attack landed on the puppet user. The area around him becoming engulfed in flames. He's still alive, Akane said to the Anbu before the tail shot from the flames towards the 2. Akane and the Anbu dodged the tail and charged towards the flames. Akane doing hand seals. Harpy transformation. In a puff of smoke, Akane had gone through a quick transformation. She now sprouted 2 green wings from her back, her arms covered by green fur up to her elbows. Her nails and canine teeth had grown longer, as well as her red hair. Akane knew that even in her transformed state, she would not be able to defeat Sazori. But her main job was to get the Kaibunkage's daughter to safety. And she would, even at the expense of her own life. Sazori swung his tail for the red head through the flames, only for Akane to skillfully dodge it with a twirl. The star nin flew into the air, drawing attention to her. She spotted Sazori turn towards her before firing several of Sunbanon needles from the mouth of Hyoko. To counter it, Akane inhaled before exhaling a loud supersonic screech that knocked the sunbee away. Hyper howl. Explosions caused Ain to focus on the fight to her right. Hokuto rolled on the ground before standing up slowly. She was breathing heavy and her hair was free of the ponytail style she had it in earlier. Obviously, dodging Dara's explosions was some kind of disrespect to the former Iwa Nin, and it only further irritated him. Hokuto smiled slightly. If she lived this, she would beat the hell out of her husband for putting her in this position in the first place. Now, it's time for some real art. Dita shouted from above. Hoko's eyes caught something coming for the blonde. It appeared to be a kunai falling from the sky behind Dara. Hokuto less than greater than S eyes widened once Naruto appeared above Dara. Rengan Dara was able to move at the last moment, but it was at the expense of his left shoulder and arm. Didra cursed as Naruto descended towards the ground. That Brad just ripped my arm off. Hokuto watched the ground beneath Naruto crater as he stood up. She stared into the eyes of the sage before he glanced over his shoulder at Dara, who was holding his left arm in place with his right. Are you all right? Nar asked Hokurudo. A little tired and a few burns. But I'm all right, Hokurudo said. Shiori was led that way, stated the blonde as he pointed. Please go find her. Hi, Lord Kaibunkage. Hokurudo said this was no time for casual talk. She was on duty as was Nar. Dara watched Hokuro run off, before turning his attention towards the angered man. You Akatsuki bastards killed the mother of my child. Nar shouted with anger. For that I'm going to make you pay. Nar-sama. Watch out. Akane called before Nar turned and grabbed Sazori's tail. Akane gasped. And no way. Nar gave Sazori's tail a pull, yanking the puppet user towards him. Akane watched the Kaibunkage land a bone-shattering punch on Sazori, sending him flying the opposite way. Now Dara watched in awe as someone he admired was just manhandled by what appeared to be a whiskered Yandai Hokage. Sazori rose to his feet. So you're the Kaibunkage, a little young, but strong nonetheless. Naruto less than greater than, S eyes narrowed. Dita, go retrieve the target. I'll catch up to you soon. Right, Master Sazori, Dara said before the clay bird flew off. Nar gave Akane a glance that told her to chase after Dara, which she did. Utsumaki, Nar began Kasori. The QB no kits, I'm impressed that you've grown this strong. A sage, a cage. Sazori watched as Naruto took off his cage robes, revealing his black shirt and orange pants beneath them. Not wasting time, huh? I like that. A red chakra cloak outlined Naruto's body as he glared at Sasori. You murdered the mother of my daughter. That's something I will never forgive you for, Nar said. Then again, I wouldn't expect you to know the love of parent. Enough talking. You're delaying me from my mission. Sazori said. Fine, then. Nar called as he took off for Sazori. The village hidden in smoke was by all means a large village, possibly on par with the Hidden Leaf. However, there were many differences that Sakura spotted instantly. First off, were the many districts in the village, which Akane referred to as rings. Second and most noticeably were the three mountains that formed the northern barrier of the village. The center one actually being a dormant volcano. Currently, Sakura was waiting patiently as Sori went in to talk to the acting leader of the village. The door was closed, but Sakura could still hear bits and pieces of the briefing argument. Finally, Suri came to the door. She's ready to see you, said the smoke. Jonin tread lightly. I doubt you're strong enough to take on a full-fledged cage. Sakura did not respond as she stepped into office. Mei sat at Naruto's leaning back in the chair. Sakura looked at the older woman carefully. She had not heard much about this Tumi Mei next to the fact that she was from Kiri and was denied position of Mizukage for some reason. Suri tells me that you're here looking for Nar, began the temp Kaibunkage. Why? I'd like to tell him that when he gets here, Sakura replied. Mei arched her visible eyebrow. Do you think that you'll be able to? You are a wanted shinobi and the Hokage would pay high dollar if we were to return you on a silver platter. Sakura glared at Mei. It is in your best interest to tell me what you want now or be held in a prison until Nar returns and decides what your fate should be. Your choice. Sakura closed her eyes to maintain her calm. She knew that if she lost her cool now, it would be a while before she had another chance to confront Nar, if ever. But she still did not want to give in to this woman so easily. Fine. Mei frowned. Fine. Sakura raised her hand. Lock me in a prison. This caused me to sit up. But when Naruto does come to see, I want to talk to him one-on-one. No one else. You do know that I can't change his rulings, Mei said, her eyes narrowing dangerously. If, and I do mean if, Nar agrees to those conditions, then fine. You will have a private conversation with the Kaibunkage. A small smile formed on the Pinket's face. I'm only going to warn you of this once. The Kaibunkage I know and the Leaf Nin that you remember are two different people. Don't take him for the dead last of Konoha. Trust me, I won't. Sakura replied. Sazori was not surprised that Nar had forced him to use his most treasured puppet himself. In fact, Sazori was actually prepared for the moment, whether or not he would admit. Sazori was curious as to how the so-called cage of the hidden smoke would do. Plus, it was also a plus that Naruto was the QB container. Whether or not there was an actual order in how the Beiju were to be captured did not matter at the moment. The nine-tailed fox presented itself. He would take the opportunity now. I'm surprised that you're still alive. You've been hit twice, Sazori said. Nar grunted, his eyes now blue while his left hand was on his right shoulder. The hits Kasori were talking about were now direct blows, but they were enough to do the job. Nar could feel the poison going through his veins, but he would not die. Not today, at least. Nar removed his hand and held his hands in front of him. A ball of fire formed in his left while a ball of wind formed in his right. He smashed his hands together before thrusting his right hand forward. A spiral, the blended elements shooting towards Sazori in the form of a slender white dragon fire and wind release. White dragon flame bullet. Sazori was able to dodge the attack, but the large dragon only turned into the air and dove for Suzori. The Akatsuki member dodged a second time. This time the white flame beast dispersed, sending white flames everywhere. He caught on to Naruto sending a kunai towards him. Suzori's mind instantly knew what to do next. Seeing this strategy before, a strategy used by the fourth fire shadow. Of course, sidestepping the canny, Suzori waited for Naruto to teleport to the location of the kunai, only for the kunai to whiz by and embed into the ground. Suzori turned towards Nar, who was now running for him. When Nar was in punching range, he threw a blow at Suzori. The redhead arched his head back to dodge the blow, only for a slash to come across his left cheek. Suzori immediately backtracked before he glanced at Naruto's hands. Nar held red trench knives similar to those of Asuma. More surprises, the Akatsuki member stated as he retrieved a scroll from his back. Nar glared. No matter what you do, I'm going to kill you. Nar ran for Suzori once more before several of explosions erupted in front of him, causing him to halt. Nar covered himself momentarily before the smoke cleared. His eyes were now morphed into that of the mixture of Sage Mode and his Ginryuki formation as he watched Dara fly off with Suzori. Nar was seconds away from going after the two before something caught his attention. Daddy. Nar paused before turning towards his daughter. He knelt down and hugged her tightly and her arms went around his neck just as tight. Nar stood up before his eyes caught onto Hokurudo, Akane, Renera, and Guren. Dara got away, explained the violet-haired teen, as well as all three Anbu dying. But the two knights and Jacken are safe. Nar dono, Jacken stated with a bow. I'm sorry for my incompetence. I was unable to protect Lady Sheen. Nar eyed the black-haired man before sighing. It is all right. Rise, Nar said. Jacken stood up before pushing his glasses towards his face. We less than greater than LL. Return to Chem. Nar looked at the knights. You two should return to Demon Country. I can handle it from here. The two knights gave a salute before walking away. Hokuro-chan, thank you for your help. Tell Sumeru that I'm not waiting for Gar less than greater than S response. As soon as I get Shiori-chan Kong, I'm going to Suna and I will literally kill anyone who tries to stop me from speaking to the cage. Narokan Hokudo paused before Sidon bowed, realizing that this was still one of those times where friendship was not going to interfere with politics. Hi, Lord Kaibunkage. Is that all? Yes, I would like you guys to be there for Shion-chan's. Hokuto nodded at the pause. We will, Hokuto stated. All right, I hope you two make it back safely. Nar said, I'm ready. Hi, Guren said before a large pink dragon rose behind her. This one nearly twice as large as the first one she had created. Nar waited until a clone arrived carrying Sheen's body. While Nar shielded Shiori from view, the others saw the priestess's corpse. As the clone boarded the dragon, Nar gave Hokurudo one final nod before the crystal creature flew off. Let's go, Nar said. The large dragon flew off, leaving Hokuro and Akane behind, the latter ending her transformation in dojutsu. He left his hat and robe, Akane announced as she went to retrieve Naruto's cage hat and robe. He has extras of those, replied Hokurudo. Come on, we have quite the journey back to Hoshi. Hi, Lady Hokurudo. Akane said Yamanaka had dismissed her students for the day and had joined her two former teammates at their usual table at yakiniku. A rack of ribs being cooked in between Shikamaru and Choji while Ino sat beside Shikamaru with a bored stare. Why did I have to volunteer to be a Jonin sensei? Questioned the blonde. Just what could a bunch of kids do to you, Enoch-chan? Choji responded. You'd be surprised. Ino said, I see why Asuma sensei bribed us so much. Ino glanced over at Shikamaru. Hey Shika, what's Wrong with you. Shikamaru sighed. We're less than greater than going to try to renew our alliance with Suna. Ino and Choji gave Shikamaru a curious glance. By we, I mean Choji and I now have a mission with Neji to go to Suna and get the cage to come back to Konoha. Danzō wants the alliance done on his terms in his village. I don't trust them. The last time those sand guys were in our village was during our Chunin exams. They nearly destroyed the village. Ino said, yeah, had it not been for. Choji paused as he glanced at Ino. For one reason or another, speaking about any of the unspeakable three caused Ino much grief. Therefore, Shikamaru and Shoji did their best to steer away from the subject until now. I don't want to meet that troublesome woman again, Shikamaru stated. Ino frowned. What are you talking about, Shika? Last time you could have taken her down. There's no way that she could beat you now. Not on her own, replied the Nara. But I doubt that I could defeat the Kage, who is her brother. Man, this is such a drag. Ino smiled softly. You two can do it. And Shika. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow. Thanks. Don't mention it, Shikamaru said. Hukan Point was the current location the three-leaf shinobi sent to find Sakura were at. While Ka and Akamaru sniffed around, Tokuma used his Byugan to search the ground. She was here, announced the dog user. Two others were here with her, but their scent gets distorted with a few others, like a sick gas or something. Tun and Tokuma frowned. Either way, it's going to be hard tracking them down now. I'm getting sick just by smelling the stuff. My guess is that they continued south, Tokuma said. Tuin retrieved a map that he had gained from the resting area on the small island. The land of ash is down there. Tu said to his two teammates, rumor has it that they don't like trespassers on their land. Ka nodded before coughing heavily. Tokuma glanced at Ka studying the coughing man with his Byakugan. Poison, Tokuma said. We less than greater than LL return to Konoha, said Tu. There is no need to pursue her any farther. The smoke shinobi will most likely kill her. Hi, Tokuma said as he went to help Ka onto his feet. Do we have anything to stop the poison? No, replied Tu. The closest hospital is in Wave. That's where we'll go. See, coughs. Come on, Akamaru. Heia said. The dog staggered behind Torin and Tokuma, just as poisoned as its master. Do you think that Sakura did go to Ash Country? Tokuma asked Tuin. Tuin shrugged as the trio and dog neared a boat. It is a good guess, responded the Ibarame. Of course, knowing who she is, there has to be a reason that she would go down there. And this poison. What do you make of it? Tokuma questioned. Strong, Ka coughed. Tuin remained silent. He was not known to fail missions often, and the ones he did usually involved an outside force interfering with said mission. This was just another one of Sakura's tricks that they had fallen for. He made a resolution. He would return to Konoha and get permission to investigate within Camry. He just needed a new Inuzuka to do the job. Sasori watched as Kuzu stitched Dara's arm. The four were in a hideout on the outskirts of Wind Country. Zetsu told us to leave. It wasn't like I ran away out of fear. Didra responded to Sasori less than greater than S earlier question. Leader Sama wants us all at the base. Sasori glanced at Hedon. You and Dara will attempt to capture the Ikebe again while those new guys will go after the priestess's daughter. It was Kakuzu that began with the explanation. The one known as Aku has the Kaibunkage's trust. He can get into the village, but when he went to move the girl, her necklace burned his hands. He can't touch her as long as she wears that bell around her neck. Sasori said, it's not our problem, said Hedon. I'd like to blow that damn prick into oblivion. Yeah, Dara said angrily. We less than greater than LL deal with him later. Sasori said, For now, we less than unk greater than LL rest for a few weeks before going after Gar again. I'm nearly dying to kill my dear grandmother. In 3 days, Naruto had returned to the hidden smoke village and had given Shin a proper burial. No one Sansururi of course bothered the Kaibunkage with trivial things after reading his facial expression after returning. While he was not in love with Shin, he still loved her. Her death caused Nar much grief, nearly twice than what he felt from the Sandame Hogue's death, and May had instructed the smoke shinobi to come to her with news and information to give Naruto time to grieve. But there was one piece of information that caused the Shodai Kaibunkage to smother his grief momentarily. Haruno Sakura was in his village in prison. So here he was going to visit the woman locked away. He would have laughed at the irony that the goody-goody Sakura was in prison while he, the troublemaker, was the leader of the village. And while he did not laugh, he still smiled slightly. So you got my message. Sakura sat with her back towards the bars, her pink hair cascading on her back. Nar waited a moment for her response before continuing. I thought I told you when I left that I was never going back to Konoha. I'm not giving you an offer, was the pink's response. Nar lifted an amused brow. Oh, so what are you going to do then? Sakura slowly rose to her feet before turning towards Nar. While he wore his robe and hat, she could still tell that it was Nar. His voice may have matured, but there was still a resemblance, as well as the sapphires she remembered that always looked at her in a loving way. I'm going to beat you from here all the way to Konoha. And then you're going to become Hokage, Sakura answered. And I'm not taking no for an answer this time. Nor am I taking that. I'm sorry. Crap. Sensing a spike of chakra, the two guards moved in only for Naruto to politely raise his hand. Go. The two guards looked at one another before moving away from the two former teammates, knowing that the bars in between them would be useless if their desire to maim one another actually grew. You know, Sakura, I was actually planning on leaving the village earlier to relieve some stress, but if you want to be the target of my frustration, Sakura watched Naruto do a single hand seal and the cell opened. Then, by all means, be my guest. The two stood still for a moment. Sakura, contemplating her next move. Realizing that it was now or never, she gave Naruto a small nod and he turned around. Then follow me, Nar said. Sakura only hesitated for a moment before leaving the cell and following Nar. Sakura faintly thought about attacking him now, but she sensed the guards watching them. She did not want to have to deal with them all in an enraged Nar. Plus, she knew very little about the terrain, so escape was near futile. You should have stayed in Konoha, stated the first smoke shadow. This would have never happened if you did. Sakura smirked. The Uchiha impersonation gave her the response she wanted as she saw Naruto's shoulders tense briefly. They then shook with laughter as the Kaibunkage chuckled. That was good, Nar replied. Too bad I'm going to have to beat you and send you back to Konoha for that. I'd like to see you try. Sabuka no was confused. No, this had nothing to do with politics or warfare. This was about how abnormal his assistant was acting. Matsuri, his assistant and secret girlfriend, had been running in and out of his office and speaking at an extremely fast pace. It was as if she was in a rush for some reason. His attention was then turned towards his brother and sister who stood in front of him with the same strange look that he had. It took them all a moment to realize that Matsuri actually said that the team from Konoha had arrived. Man, what's up with her today? Muttered Conqueror. Gar gave a small shrug before the door opened to reveal Choji and Shikamaru. So, what have you two come for? Gar asked. Shikamaru stepped forward. We came to renew our alliance with you. The three siblings all frowned at this. Arrow Hokage has been troubled by the Akatsuki and wants to No was Gar less than greater than, s. Simple response. Please reconsider Lord K's cage, Choji said. Gar gave a stern stare. Months ago, I asked for help and I was turned down. Not just from Konoha, but from Tsuchi, Kiri, and Kumo as well. Let us, however, Choji immediately hushed as Gar continued. I have found help against the Akatsuki and I plan to meet them soon. Maybe we can join you. Align ourselves with you and the other villages to take out Akatsuki. Choji said, the hidden leaf would be a good addition to your alliance, added. Shikamaru, we have resources that you once relied on, and I'm sure you're going to need them again. We have a high number of shinobi as well as a recovery center within Wave Country just in case our village is breached. Danzō must be desperate if he told his men to beg, mocked Conqueror. We're not begging, replied Shikamaru before addressing Gar. We understand that you're angry about the rejection and on behalf of Konoha, I'm apologizing for that. However, the Akatsuki is not coming after you only. But for a friend of mine, and we have to stop them. And what friend would that be? Tamari asked. Yusuzu Maki Nar. Shikamaru less than greater than S answer was enough to cause the cage's face to change as much as possible. Instead of the stern look that he had given them, Gar less than greater than S expression was now a mixture of concern and hate. I will talk to my council, Gar stated. Tamari, find a place for these two to stay. Tamari nodded and Gar looked at Konkuro. Retrieve the council members. Sure. Conqueror said before, looking at Shikamaru. You're lucky Naruto was Konquo. Gar interrupted. Even if he did not raise his voice, his current tone was still distinguishable from the tone he used earlier. Go. Hi, Conquer said before leaving the office. Tamari glanced at the Leaf Shinobi. This way, Gar watched his older sister lead the two Leaf Shinobi out of his office. He gave a quiet sigh before Matsuri appeared in his doorway. Previous anger and frustration with Konoha were now gone as she made her way into the room, closing the door behind her. You've been acting strange. What is it? Gar asked. Matsuri fidgeted a bit. Well, Garakan, Siri-chan, just tell me. Matsuri nodded and took a deep breath. We're less than greater than going to have a baby. Fortunately for him, no one would ever hear about Gar, the god K's cage, the gentry of the one-tailed tanuki, and one of the most stoic people ever, fainting. Matsuri sure would not tell anyone due to having to reveal why he fainted. Nonetheless, Matsuri knew that. She only had up to 10 minutes to wake him before the council convened and 5 minutes before Tamari returned. Sighing, Matsuri realized that it was going to be a long day. The area was simply beautiful. It was a nice open field with a waterfall and pond in it. Several trees made a natural boundary between the area and the paths to Ki and other villages within the land of Ash. And the way the sun touched the area, it appeared to be a gift from the heavens. But Sakura saw it a bit differently. It was Naruto's personal training ground. It was the area where the two would do battle at last. And while she did want to do a bit more talking before jumping into a fight, it was about time she completely half of her mission. Taking a few steps towards the waterfall, Nar glanced around. The last time I battled here, Naruto said, my Genin squad was promoted to Chunin. Even if they never technically defeated me, they still were able to work as a team, and each one had an effective battle plan, though, Suri-chan is still a bit edgy. Nar looked at Sakura. But I don't think we came all the way out here to chat, did we? No, we didn't, responded Sakura. So take off the robes and let's do this. Like I said, I'm dragging you back to Konoha and I'm going to make you Hokage. Even if I have to kill every single councilman and woman to do so. Nar laughed. Is that what you think that I, the Kaibunkage, would quit my job to go back to that place and to think you were the smart one of our team? But Naruto's laughter quickly ended as he reached for his hat. It's your dream. Let's see how badly you want it. Sakura stood patiently as Naruto folded his robes and sat it on a rock, placing his hat on top of it. Before we fight, I just have one condition, Sakura stated. No multi-shadow clone jutsu. What? Nar questioned. I said no multi-shadow clone jutsu. Everything else is okay. Sakura paused. That is if you think you can beat me without using it. I don't think I can. I know I can, Nar said. Then what are you waiting for? Sakura asked. Bring it forehead. Nar taunted with a small smile. The insult seemed to have worked as Sakura came at Nar with amazing speeds. In seconds, she was directly in front of him throwing a kick towards his head. Nar brought a forearm to block said kick, but truly underestimated the power behind it as he was sent sliding towards the water. Sakura came at him again, this time by jumping into the air with a fist cocked. Nar jumped backwards to avoid the punch and watched the ground crater beneath her fist. Damn you, Nar muttered as he did a few hand seals. Nar inhaled, forming a sphere of wind in front of him before exhaling, launching the sphere towards Sakura. Wind release compressed shockwave. Sakura said, dodging the attack. However, once the sphere hit the ground, it released a small explosion of wind that pushed her back farther. I see. He doesn't have to hit me with that move for it to hurt. Sakura then did hand seals of her own before inhaled and exhaling a large fireball. Towards Nar. Fire release great fireball jutsu. With ease, Nar dodged the attack and ran directly for Sakura. Seeing this, Sakura ended her fire-based attack in time to dodge the punch thrown by Nar. She countered with one of her own, only for the evasive smoke shadow to dodge himself. This only infuriated Sakura and she continued to throw punch after punch at Nar who danced around her. You're making this too easy. Nar taunted before flipping backwards. Come on, Sakura, show me what you've learned. A shoulder met Naruto's back and he was sent sliding across the landscape. The Sakura that he was staring at dispelled in a puff of smoke and he turned his head angrily at the real Pinkett. That knew enough. Growling, Nar stood up and glared at his former teammate. That is until her eyes gave an appealing glow and the anger on her face became loving. Oh, Naruto Sakura. How about you just come over here and we settle this like grown-ups? Nar nodded slowly as his body began to move towards Sakura in a trance. Sakura only smiled. Nar was never one for genjutsu. And as soon as he was in her striking range, she planted a poisonous kiss on his cheek. Not enough to kill him, but surely enough to knock him out. Nighty-night, Nar, Sakura said, you know, stated the blonde's voice from behind her. I've always wanted to know just how you do that. Now that I've found out, I've got to say that's pretty of you. Sakura turned an angry face to Nar before looking at the one she kissed. In a puff of smoke, the downed Nar became a rather large dead fish. Sakura said, spitting onto the ground. You bastard, Nar chuckled. Call it payback. And with that, Nar sent Sakura flying backwards with a strong left punch. Sakura rolled onto her feet before firing several of needles at Naruto from her mouth. Prepared needle shot. While dodging them, Nar tossed a handful of kana at Sakura. Sakura simply dodged right, moving towards the surrounding forest. Bitch, Nar muttered before launching another compressed shockwave in Sakura's direction. Sakura took cover behind a few trees, feeling the wind blow past her. She wanted to appear to be running so Naruto would give chase. The reason during her training with Kurenai, she learned the differences in her fighting range in Naruto's. Sakura felt comfortable at a small distance where she could punch the ground and throw her opponent off balance or use a genjutsu and then go in for the kill while Naruto could stand. Toe-to-toe with someone. You're pathetic. Sakura's head snapped up to see Naruto in the form of Uchiha Sasaki sitting on a tree branch. And here I thought you at least grew somewhere. You're still as flat as a board. Sakura huffed. While she was not as busty as her former mentors or Hinata, she surely was not flat-chested. And she was nowhere near what she once was. You'll pay for that baka. Sakura recalled as she charged for the tree Naruto was sitting in. The Kaibunkage raised a dark eyebrow as Sakura gripped the base of the tree before ripping it from the ground. When she tossed the tree aside, she was not surprised that Nar had moved from his spot. She then picked up on her former teammate coming for her. Dodging and backstepping, Sakura could see the fury in Naruto's eyes as he attempted to slash her with his trench knives. Sakura doubted that this was half of Naruto's true power, but then again, she did not want to see his full strength either. Nar threw a blow with his chakra blade, hoping to slice Sakura's neck completely. He was thoroughly surprised when the pink-haired kunoichi fused with the tree behind her and his attack slashing at the bark. Nar turned around, expecting a sneak attack, only to see the top half of Sakura's body coming from above him. While her lower half seemed to still be within the tree, Nar dodged the kunai in her hand and did a few hand seals. Building a great amount of chakra within his blades, he gave a wave with his hands and created a powerful gust of wind that knocked several trees down. Wind release. Great breakthrough. After the dust settled, Naruto looked around the destroyed area for any signs of Sakura. His answer came when he heard a crack from beneath him that caused him to look downwards just in time to see Sakura emulate the same maneuver he used on Neji at the Chunin exams. Nar was sent flipping into the air after the powerful uppercut and landed in a tree, breaking several branches before crashing onto the ground. Nar shook his head before realizing that his trench knives had fallen off somewhere in between the punch and his landing. I'm not done yet, Sakura said. Nar was surprised that the woman was that close to him that fast. She grabbed his collar and slung him back towards the waterfall. Naruto's back crashed into the rocky wall behind the waterfall, and he collapsed onto his knee. So, you have grown stronger, stated the Kaibunkage. Too bad you're still too weak. Sakura watched as Naruto stood up as if that attack did nothing. She gave a grunt before grabbing a kunai from her pocket and wrapping it with a lightning seal. I know the one move that you can't learn, Sakura said, pumping a large amount of chakra into the seal. Nar watched as the lightning began to cackle before the sound of chirping birds was heard. And I've learned it to take you down. Nar was shocked beyond words. A lightning seal plus a standard kunai and then a ton of chakra to form a chidori. He would have never thought of that. He smirked. That gives the term lightning blade a whole new meaning. Sakura only came towards Nar, her right hand clutching the kunai tightly. Eat this, Sakura shouted. Chidori. Nar quickly grabbed her right wrist and twisted it, causing her to yelp and drop the canny. I learned how to counter that years ago, Nar said before he felt a surge of pain from his right shoulder. He looked to see another lightning-infused kana lodged into his shoulder. So have I, replied Sakura before Nar released her, and she moved backwards. Nar reached up and grabbed the kunai, before throwing it down. Whether that was the real deal or not did not matter to him at the moment. What did was taking Sakura down, and with right arm severely injured, he would have to do it with one hand. Basically, with one simple mental command to a distant shadow clone, Nar dispelled it and instantly went into Sage mode. Sakura only watched momentarily before activating the Yin Seal release. Nar quickly charged for Sakura. Sakura braced herself as Nar threw a punch. She dodged the physical blow only for an unseen force knock her off of her feet. Nar watched Sakura's body bounce and slide on the ground before coming to a stop. Once more, He ran through a series of hand seals before inhaling. Sakura stood up and saw two clones appear beside him before the trio unleashed an oil, fire, and wind attack that raced for Sakura's position. Sage Art gone. Sakura began running away from the attack, hearing heated oil burn trees that were behind her. Thinking quickly, she did 3 hand seals and infused herself with the ground earth release underground projection fish technique. Nar ended his attack and looked around. Once more, the pink-haired woman was nowhere in sight. He was getting slightly annoyed by that. One with such a noticeable feature such as pink hair could hide so well. It truly was annoying. Dispelling his clones and stepping onto the pond surface, he watched the flames of the oil slowly die. His eyes narrowed as he inspected the area before dodging left. Sakura's second uppercut missing by inches. With the water splash as a diversion and Nar off balance from the sneak attack, Sakura went in for the attack while using the chakra scalpel in order to disable her opponent. Recognizing the glow around Sakura's hands, Nar began to dodge the attacks, careful not to be touched. He remembered his battle with Kabuto years ago all too well. "Stay still so I can knock you out already," Sakura shouted. Nar smirked. At least inner Sakura had remained the same throughout the years. Fuma Sasama was one of the few jonin who hardly ever left the village of Ki for missions. She had thought that she had taken the easy way out of doing courier missions which she hated by becoming a teacher at the academy. Of course, Nar had to place her with the younger children. So here she was trying to get those little demons to quiet down again. Sighing, Sasama began counting down in her head. 5 4 3 2 1. The sound of a distant explosion caused the orange-haired woman to pause. And just when she was going to snap on those little brats, too. "What's going on, Sasama-sensei?" a little boy by the name of Harameki Haru asked. "It's less than greater than probably nothing," replied Sasama. Though her gut feeling was the exact opposite. "If anything were to happen, the Kaibunkage and other jonin of our village will protect us." "Isn't that Shiori-chan less than greater than dad?" Haru asked. Sasama looked at the quiet blonde girl. "Yeah, it is. Shiori less than greater than eyes were focused on the window, making Sasama sweat a bit. If Shiori began to panic, her bell would activate, creating a shield that would push all that Shiori did not trust away. And at the current time, there was no one that the girl trusted. And if the worst should happen and Shiori's worry and fear turned into an offensive attack instead of defensive one, the other students would be sliced in half by one ray of pink light. Sasama then sensed 3 John and leveled shinobi moving past the school. Something was up. She knew it now. She was seconds away from excusing herself and stepping out to check before May was at the door. "Lady May, what are you doing here?" asked Susama. "Whoa, cool. It's the strongest kunoichi in Camry," a girl called as she pointed at May. May smiled. "What are you talking about? The strongest kunoichi is your sensei, Fuma Sasama." Sasama blushed at the compliment. There was no doubt in her or anyone else's mind that May could wipe the floor with any and every other kunoichi in the village and could take most of the men out as well, save for 1 or 2. "Shiori-chan, would you come with me for a moment?" Seeing her dubbed grandmother, the young blonde hopped out of her seat and made her way to May, a small smile on her face. May gently took Shiori's hand and looked at Susama. "We less than greater than be back soon. I just wanted to talk to her for a moment." "Sure. No problem," said Susama with one thought. 1 brad down, 14 more to go. Nar and Sakura were both panting lightly. Sakura's yin seal release was nearing its end while Nar was out of sage mode. Nar stood up straight. "That was close. Sakura." Sakura would have responded, but she was too busy trying to catch her breath to use her next move. A move that was more advanced and more taxing than the yin seal release, the yang seal release. The technique had results that were akin to the yin's release mixed with opening the gate of life. Are you done? Nar asked the woman. Sakura took in a deep breath and poked her forehead, muttering the word release under her breath. Nar watched as a fiery orange tribal seal took up Sakura's face, much like the yin seal release. Her skin began to turn into a pinkish red color as well. Her chakra increased at an exponential rate that caused the Kaibunkage to curse silently. He hated drawing out power from the fox, but he had to now. Sakura vanished in a quick burst of speed, causing Naro to blink before her knee was planted in his stomach. In one swift move, Sakura spun and kicked Naro in the face, sending him flying towards the forested area behind him. Before Naruto had time to react, an elbow was in his back before a fist sent him flying into the air. Reverse Lotus thought the Shodai as blinding flashes of pink began to assault him at a high rate of speed, knocking several of loose kunai from his pocket. Sakura would have joked about hitting someone so hard that their kunai fell out of their pockets, but she was about to finish this battle once and for all. Reverse Lotus Sakura shouted as she attempted to land the finishing blow on Naruto before he vanished. Renong. Nar shouted from above Sakura, shoving the attack into her back. The two bodies darted towards the ground where Naruto was able to land on his feet, his opponent flat on her stomach. Nar spun one of his special-made kana around a finger. It's over, Sakura. Give up, stated Nar. Naruto's eyes narrowed as Sakura began to rise to her feet. Even without the QB or Sage mode, he could tell that she was near her end. Sakura reached to her face and wiped some of the blood from her lips before doing hand seals. Seeing the seals, Naruto jumped back. While doing the same thing, summoning jutsu, the two called simultaneously, Renera had led two other jonin to the area where the disturbance was said to be. Using his dojutsu, he scanned the area and found his former sensei atop of Gamabunta against Sakura and her summon. It's just Nar sensei, Renera said to the other two. We should return back to our regular posts. He's fine. Are you sure? One of the other two asked. Renera nodded. Positive. Let's less than greater than go. Hi, the other said. Before following Renera away from the area. Nar stood with his arms crossed and his eyes closed. Naro, do you see what she has summoned? Gamabunta questioned. Even in his prime, Jiraiya could not defeat that thing. Sakura smirked, not afraid to fight Ibus. Are you Nar? Nar opened his red eyes, glaring at Sakura. Don't worry about it, Boss Toad. I don't know how she even got the salamander summoning contract, but I doubt she knows how to use it very well. Nar said. Gamabunta released smoke from his pipe. Just in case she does, the large toad revealed his tanto. I suggest you go into Sage mode now. Nar stood quietly as he watched Sakura doing a series of hand seals. Now, I use Sakura ordered. The large salamander shot out a powerful mist of poison before Sakura ignited the mist on fire. The purple flames coming for Nar and Gamabunta. Fire release salamander flame jutsu. Gamabunta jumped high into the air. Let's give them a taste of their own medicine. Nar said, doing hand seals. Right, responded the boss toad before firing oil towards Sakura and Ibus. Nar shot out a small stream of fire that ignited the oil fire release toad oil flame bullet. Seeing the attack coming for the air, Sakura gave the command for Ibus to dig, which the salamander did, taking its current summoner with it. Nar and Gamabunta landed in the pond, sending a wave of water onto the shore around it. Those purple flames, Nar said, pointing. If we get too close to those and inhale, we less than greater than LLB poisoned. We have to put it out now. Gabunta nodded before launching a water release. Gunshot towards the purple flames. The flames were extinguished in a matter of seconds, but the absence of Sakura made Nar frown. "What's taking her so long to attack?" questioned Nar. "Orochimaru was right," Gamabunta stated. "Right about what?" Nar asked. "When we fought IBUs many years ago," explained the toad. "Orochimaru realized that it took Ibu less than greater than S time to regenerate the poison it stores. And when it's finished, it will rise from the ground and surprise its opponent, either by swallowing them whole or spewing the mist from its mouth. So, we have to go down there and drag them up here." Nar said. "That would be foolish, Nar." Gamaba chastised. Nar hopped off of Gamabunta. "I've been known to be a bit foolish." Gamabunta was going to say something else to the young Kage, but he had pursued Sakura and IBUs into the small hole in the ground. "Still as stubborn as ever, Higaki?" the large toad questioned with mirth. "So, do we all agree?" asked Gar. There were 6 nods. Around the small table before Gar signaled Temari to allow Shikamaru and Choji to enter. "Naru Shikamaru, this is for your Hokage." Kanyuro presented Shikamaru with a scroll. "Are you going to help us?" Choji asked. "The answer is in that scroll." Gar answered. "Make sure that Danzō gets it." "Hi," Shikamaru replied before glancing at the small council. He then looked at Choji. "All right, Choji, let's less than greater than get back to the village." "Right, Shikamaru." Choji responded before the two began to make their way out of the room. Choji and Shikamaru stopped at the Kage's voice. "About what you said about Uzumaki Nar, I hope you do find him in time." The statement made Shikamaru realize that the Sanaga Council had rejected the offer. Still, he nodded in appreciation and left with Choji. After he was sure they were gone, Gar rose from his seat. "Where are you headed, Kage?" Chio asked. "There is something else that requires my attention," was all Gar said as he left. No one dared followed, because of the tone he used. It clearly said, "Follow and die." Something no one was going to disobey. "I wonder what it is," Conqueror said to Temari. "He less than greater than LL tell us later hopefully." Temari replied. Nar appeared atop of Gamabunta head. "Jump," Nar said ordered. Gamabunta launched himself into the air seconds before Ibu's head shot from the pond in an attempt to bite Gamabunta. Nar saw Sakura take in a deep breath and did hand seals as well. The 2 former members of Team 7 along with their respective summons fired their fire collaboration attack at one another. Sakura and IBUs using the Salamander Flame Jutsu and Naruto and Gamabunta the Toad Oil Flame Bullet. Nar was surprised that Sakura still had so much chakra left over to maintain the attack. But his mind was then turned to gravity. He and Gabunda had begun to descend back towards the ground. Thinking quickly, Naruto placed a hand on Gamabunta's head and concentrated. And to Sakura's surprise,